Hey, vaping! What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite movies, and today I'm going to be doing a movie review on whoops, on The Last Emperor, directed and partially written by Italian filmmaker Bernardo Bertolucci in the year 1987, or it's released in 1987. So yeah, The Last Emperor. I finally got around to watch it on a big screen. Now, yeah, let me talk about why I watched it on a big screen first. So, for months already, I've been dying to watch certain films on the big screen. And there's a website I found that is extremely useful called revivalhubla.com. In that website, you can find a lot of screenings of films all across Los Angeles. And one day I found out that they are screening The Last Emperor at the Academy Museum. And I really want to watch Vittorio Storaro's work on a big screen. So I have to. So that's why I decided to watch this film last night at the Academy Museum on a big screen. Yes, I watched it in a theater. Now, aside from me, there were also three other friends who watched the film along with me. We have Cliff, my Malaysian friend, Leslie from China, and Pepper from Hong Kong, whom you may or may not know because I talk about a lot. So, yesterday was quite fun. Not only did we go watch The Last Emperor at the theater inside the museum, we also went to the museum itself, and it's all right. And I had fun yesterday. It was a fun day. You know, it was kind of fun in a way. Yeah. But if you're curious about what happened yesterday, don't worry about it because I have filmed a vlog and I will edit it and upload it sometime maybe a week or two later. So anyways, let's talk about this movie itself. The Last Emperor, it is 2 hours and 40 something minutes long, nearly 3 hours. And not only did we watch this film, before this film played, we had about 30 minutes of Q&A with Joan Chen, the one and only Joan Chen and Lisa Liu. You may know Joan Chen from Twin Peaks. She is fantastic in Twin Peaks, one of the best characters. And then we have Lisa Liu. I haven't seen any work from her, but apparently she also played the Empress Dowager in the film The Empress Dowager from 1975, classic Shaw Brothers period film, which I really want to see. So yeah, it's awesome to see them both in the flesh. But anyways, The Last Emperor is essentially a Chinese film made by Italians. And it is based off of the autobiographies of Pu Yi, of Aisinjoro Pu Yi, the last emperor of China in Qing Dynasty, which is the last dynasty of China. So yeah, Aisinjoro Pu Yi, aka the last emperor. A lot of people know him as Pu Yi because Pu Yi is his given name. But there are many other names. Like I'm pretty sure he has another emperor name, but nobody really uses that. And then he probably has another like death name, like after his death, but I'm sure nobody uses that. Everyone calls him Puyi, so I'm gonna just call him Puyi. Yeah, so this movie is a biopic about Puyi. And first of all, let's get the elephant out of the room here. This movie is beautiful. It is stunning. The only other film I've seen that what the heck? I just had an amnesia. Vittorio Storaro has shot is The Conformist, which I've seen a couple years ago, which I wasn't too crazy about. But The Last Emperor actually shares a lot of common shots with The Conformist, like down to the style and the vibe. Like in The Conformist, there are several shots where everything is just blue. And usually it's a car. There's a car in the shot, and usually it's winter. And it's sort of dark, like blue hour, sunset hour, and everything's blue. The sky is blue, the ground is blue, the car is blue, everything's blue. There's also everything blue shots in The Last Emperor. There's also a shot where dry leaves are blowing. There's also a similar shot in The Conformist. There's confetti. There's a dance scene, and there are party scenes with a lot of colorful colors. So obviously you can tell it is the work of Vittorio Storaro. But I also really like the cinematography aside from these similar shots. There are a lot of shots in the Forbidden City and they're all amazing. They're all wallpaper friendly. Like you can take a screenshot of this film at any given moment and it will look like a wallpaper. It's gorgeous. The colors are absolutely freaking stunning. And I love the wide anamorphic lens used in this film. It's so wide that you can see a sort of a bend, a curvature with the horizontal lines, and I love that so freaking much. And I also have to applaud the production design. There's a certain smokiness and fogginess inside the Forbidden City that makes it so exotic and so weird and alien, which is really beautiful. Another thing about this movie is that it is really weird. There are a lot of weird ass scenes in this movie, but I actually like these weird ass scenes. It's really much right up my alleyway. There's a scene where a rat dies. I'm not going to spoil what happened, but it's a really random scene that came out of nowhere. There's a scene where Joan Chen's feet are being licked. There's a scene where she ate flowers, which is one of my favorites. There's a breastfeeding scene earlier in the film, which is very weird. And Pepper was sitting right beside me, and she gave several dramatic reactions when these scenes took place. She's like, "Oh, what the fuck?" So it's kind of cool in that way. I also like the jumbled timeline. We constantly jump back to present day in the 1950s, and it makes the film kind of artsy. And also, I think it's miraculous that the movie ended with the Cultural Revolution. I think up until that point, there haven't been a lot of films in the world that depict the Cultural Revolution because it is such a sensitive topic. And the fact that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, allowed a Western filmmaker to make a film with scenes of Cultural Revolution in it is miraculous. And that just goes to show how in the late 70s and in the 80s in general, how close to liberation China really was, how close to full democracy China really was in this era until, of course, the late 90s and then how it's, getting worse again. I mean, look at the situation now. But anyways, there are a lot of cons in this movie as well, unfortunately. First of all, easily the biggest con of this film is that it is in English. A lot of, if not all, the actors and actresses in this film speak in English. And during the Q&A session, Joan Chen and Lisa Liu also said that they tried to speak in a neutral English way, so not in an American way, not in a British way, just as neutral as possible. But even so, there's so many moments where the English is just absolutely freaking British. And I'm not talking about like the words they use, oh, cheerio, Bob's your uncle, nothing like that. Their accents are just so British for some freaking reason. So English. But because of that, a lot of the dialogues just feel really unnatural and sometimes even cringe because they are not speaking their mother tongue, and also because it does not fit the story at all. And it's so weird because sometimes you would hear extras in the back speaking in Mandarin, but then the actors and actresses in the foreground speaking in English, and it just creates sort of a rift, sort of a linguistic rift, and it makes the whole film feel even more unnatural. Again, some of the dialogues are straight up cringe. Near the end of the film, when Japan is puppeteering Manchukuo and everything, there's a Japanese guy who was like yelling, "The world belongs to Japan! China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, the whole world is Japan!" And it's so on the nose, I cringed. And then there's also another moment when Puyi became emperor again, and then someone whispered to the empress, played by Joan Chen, "Ooh, you will be empress again." Like, yeah, no shit. Another thing is there's a lack of emotional charge in every scene in the movie, and I know that is sort of Bertolucci's style, because in The Conformist, it's also pretty much like that. Everyone's deadpan, nobody really shows their emotions, and it sort of works in The Conformist because it takes place in Italy, but in a Chinese historical epic, for people to be this stoic is really rare. Usually, for Chinese period films, traditionally, actors and actresses are super melodramatic. But even if they're not melodramatic, even if they act natural, this film is a little bit too emotionally suppressed, in my opinion. So there are a lot of dramatic moments in the movie, sometimes even overly dramatic because of the music, but the emotions are just not carried as much. That being said, though, another thing, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I would just say it as a disclaimer, and that is the Orientalism of this film is very exaggerated, especially in the first half of the film where we see all these weird rituals and all these weird uh, things happening inside the Forbidden City. It's really weird, and I doubt that everything in the film is historically accurate. There's a scene in the beginning of the movie where the Empress Dowager sat on a throne and the throne is moving like a rolling chair. That does not freaking happen. During the Q&A session with Lisa Liu, she said she told Bertolucci that the throne shouldn't move, but Bertolucci was like, "But no, this is my film. I get to decide what I want to do with the throne." So yeah, there's a lot of exaggerated Orientalism in the film. So again, this film is made by Italians. So in a way, it's almost like their perspective on how weird China is back in the early 20th century. The child acting is not that good. So Puyi, we have baby Puyi, we have young boy Puyi, we have teenager Puyi, and then we have adult Puyi played by John Lone. He's really good. But the young boy Puyi, his acting is not good. I'm glad he doesn't have any scenes. He doesn't have that many scenes. His acting is not good. And then the scoring, I think it's fine, but it's not exceptional. Of course, we have some really big names here. We have Sakamoto Ryuichi, who is an amazing composer. We have David freaking Byrne of Talking Head. What the hell is he doing here? And then there are moments during the score where it sort of gets kind of jolly, and you can also hear a little David Byrne in there. Like, okay, that's definitely David Byrne. And then on top of that, we have a Chinese person called Chong Su. So we have 3 composers for this film from 3 different cultures, 3 different nationalities. And it ended up fine. Some scores, some soundtracks here and there sound a little too jolly in my opinion, but it's fine. It's not exceptional either. I guess one thing I would like to say about the importance of The Last Emperor is that this is a huge leap forward for the Western perception of Chinese culture and history. Because before The Last Emperor, the most people know about Chinese culture and history in America is probably Big Trouble in Little China, or freaking Blade Runner, or maybe Chan is Missing, but nobody watches that probably. And also, internationally, people probably only know Chinese culture from Bruce Lee or maybe Jackie Chan, but their films are definitely not great when it comes to understanding Chinese culture and history. So this is a huge leap forward. The Last Emperor is a huge leap forward, and the fact that it won Best Picture is miraculous. So yeah, I'm just gonna end it off at that. And if anything, I think this film inspires me to make my own Chinese period epic. I don't want to make a CGI filled martial arts supernatural propaganda flavored epic like a lot of Chinese period films made in China are right now. Nor do I want to make something like The Last Emperor, where it's kind of exaggerated and everyone speaks English for some goddamn reason. I just want to make a Chinese period film that's real, that's gritty, that's historically accurate, and actually is immersive and doesn't try anything crazy full of CGI. So yeah, hopefully I get to make one like 30 years, 40 years from now when I'm an experienced filmmaker. I'm giving The Last Emperor a light 8 out of 10. So have you watched The Last Emperor? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate it? Like and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.